All right, ladies, where are we going?
Summer camp 2024.
Yes, summer camp.
We're going to summer camp. Tell us your truth.
My truth, this is the first time I've been to Canada since I was 12.
Woohoo!
It's my first time as an adult.
Yay!
Adorable. So adorable. Ready for camp.
No, this is a bit much, huh?
No.
If we want to be fancy at camp. Well, I could be aluminum at camp. Very cute.
So there's the back of our cabin, and there's our view. Good morning, I'm Amy and this is A-Star Reads, and it's time for another vlog, a fun theme vlog, because we're at summer camp. Well, we've made up our own summer camp, and I'm going to read summer camp books. So I brought 3 books on this trip. One of them we're listening to together. We're reading The Honeys by Ryan Sala, which we actually listened to on the 2-hour drive from the ferry to the cabin last night, and it starts out with a bang. It's creepy, and it's about this twin. We've got Mars, who's gender fluid and is a twin to Caroline, I think. At the very beginning of this, Caroline dies, and an extremely dramatic thing happens right in the very first chapter. It's pretty wild, and we were like, whoa, what a way to start a book. And then after that, you go through the funeral, and Mars is trying to figure out what exactly happened to Caroline, because they don't really believe that what the doctors are saying happened to Caroline actually happened. They think that it has something to do with the summer camp she goes to every single year, which is called Aspen. She's part of this group called the Honeys, Caroline is, and at the funeral, 3 of the Honeys girls come, and they kind of tamper with the body a little bit, and Mars thinks the only way that they'll be able to figure out what exactly happened to Caroline will be to go back to the summer camp and investigate for themselves by figuring out what's going on with the Honeys, because the Honeys are creepy. And they're called the Honeys because they keep beehives behind their cabin. It is fun so far. It's not anything like what I thought it was going to be, and it's not as much plot driven, although there is definitely a plot, but it's more like what's going on in Mars' head and how Mars is feeling about everything that is going on. And so there's a lot of internalization, and I find that very interesting. And it is very like heart pounding at times. I mean, there's not that much that's happened except the very beginning, which was a lot of action and pretty extreme and a bit graphic, but it's definitely been a very interesting read so far. So we're planning on listening to that every time we have to drive. And this morning we do have to go grocery shopping. So first things first, we're going to go get some coffee, pastries in town and get some groceries for the rest of the weekend. The other books I brought on this trip with me, I've barely scratched the surface of one of them. I brought Cubs and Campfires by Dylan Drakes. This is a male-male romance at a campsite, and it looks super cute, and I just read like a page or two, so I really can't say anything about that one at all. But this one is my new release for her kid, like, so the hardest reading challenge you'll ever do, I'm participating in, and every month you have to read a new release. This one came out on August 25th, so I've got to get this one done within a month from when it actually comes out. It's an indie author, and it just came out, and I'm very excited about it. Mom already read it, and she laughed a lot, and she really, really had fun with it. So I think that's a perfect summer camp read. The other one I brought, oh, let me go grab it. Hold on. The other one I brought, and I have no clue if I'll end up having any time to read, is Camp by LC Rosen. This is a YA, 16-year-old, so it's a young YA. Will I get a chance to read this one? I don't know. So if I do, I'll tell you more about it. I think there won't be a lot of time, and I'll probably be spending most of my time on Cubs and Campfires because we have a very busy schedule planned. In fact, this is our schedule. So right now it's quiet time until 9 a.m. because we got in around 1 and probably can get asleep till 1:15, 1:20, 1:30 because, you know, we're giggling, of course, talking. But this is our schedule, so we do have to go get groceries for the rest of the weekend. And then we got a whole bunch of fun stuff, including friendship bracelets, and we're gonna spend some time at the lake. Enjoy this really awesome cabin. It's a little less rustic than I was hoping for, honestly. I've actually been to this resort before when I was doing field work. And the other cabin that we stayed in as a group was more rustic. But they have slightly new management now, so it's possible that they've made things a little different since then. But these stairs, these are wild. Imagine having to go to the bathroom in the middle of the night when it's dark, going up these stairs. A bit much. Anyways, we're having a great time. It's Jordan, Mom, and I, just the three of us, creating our own amazing summer camp. Oh, and of course, in case it wasn't obvious, this works for my summer camp prompt for actually all of our summer camp prompts, the activity for the summer book bingo that I created. And if you'd like to know more about the summer book bingo, I will link the first video where I introduced it here. And then all my vlogs have been showing the progress I've been making on it. So this is it. This is our summer camp. There's several books here. We got some Lee Child. One of my favorite books, The Diviners. I do want to read this one, the Yiddish Policeman's Union. I'm curious about that one. 1984. Lamentation. What's this? Gulliver's Travels. Dude, I love that. Let's see. Through the Looking Glass. The Guardian in the Storm. And a little bit of Ernest Hemingway. So we got some fun books in the little book section. All right, campers, are you ready?
I'm ready.
Are you ready?
Ready.
And of course, we've got our camper's uniform.
Here, let's get a picture of Steve. Wait, we can't have this. Oh, where's my flower? See what one down here is. The down one. Let's see if P and J
I'm creating my seashell activity, and I'm going to do this seashell thing that I'm going to put in my hair. So I'm making a long strand that's going to blend in with my hair color, and it's going to have seashells along it. Oh, it's really cute!
So these are kind of hanging here like this, but
a bitch. Perfect, Jordan. It looks good.
Yeah,
looks really
I'm trying
good.
to, get it figured out.
Yeah, I like that. That's cool, Mom. So it is quiet time-ish. I mean, we're all reading right now and we're just relaxing after a really fun campfire. Tonight was great. We taught Jordan a whole bunch of Girl Scout campfire songs. And what'd you think of that, Jordan?
I loved it.
It was really cute and fun. And then we sort of solved a mystery puzzle from this magazine Mom got. And we did a crossword together, the three of us. It was really fun because Jordan had received a puzzle night as one of her rewards for the summer book bingo. Jordan's not necessarily the biggest fan of puzzles, like actual puzzles, jigsaw puzzles, but I was like, well, it could be any kind of puzzle. So my mom had bought this magazine and we decided we were going to solve the crossword puzzle together. And that was actually really fun, like solving it, the three of us. So we spent a good portion of the afternoon doing that. While we were doing our friendship bracelets, we were listening to more of The Honeys by Ryan Sala, and it's very intriguing. It's very interesting. So our main character, Mars, has really started to, as much as they can, embrace being within the camp. And by embracing it, I mean kind of trying to get on the better side of their cabin mates. Some things are still happening, though, because Mars did end up pissing one person off pretty badly. Then something really strange happens that has to do with the Honeys because of that as a result. And it almost turns fever dreamish in the way that it's explained. And we're like, wait, what happened? It was very confusing. And I think that's the intention. The intention is that even our main character is not quite sure what exactly is happening here at this campsite. And maybe starting to believe that, oh, I might be misinterpreting things, but then creepy stuff happens, and then they're like, oh, wait, no, there's something going on here for sure. I would agree with Mars that something they have done, I would believe, has to do with what happened to Caroline's death. As far as Cubs and Campfires by Dylan Drakes, I've gotten about 20% of the way through that one so far, and it's really cute, really, really cute so far. It's very funny. Jordan's been chuckling over there every once in a while because she's reading it also. She's reading it on Mom's phone, and I'm reading it on my phone, and then Mom's already read it, so it's kind of fun because we can talk about parts that we're giggling about. At this point, our main character, Luca, is a writer. He's a journalist, and he wants to become a really famous journalist, but he wants to become famous for what he's known for, and he's known for being very honest about sex and very honest about sexuality and people and what goes on in their lives. And he loves sharing the very interesting aspects of humanity and not shying away from censorship in a sense. However, society is not, well, at least the mainstream media is not ready for what Luca wants to bring to his writing. He comes up with a bit of a compromise and something he's going to try and do, which is be celibate for 3 months and then write about his experience of being completely celibate and what he's done over the summer and how he's been able to do that. And being celibate for him is something that he just doesn't care to try typically, but he will do it if it means getting this big break. And so he decides that the only way he may be able to be successful at being celibate is by taking a job where he is working at one of those mountain fire watch. People can go live in those fire watch buildings where they're just keeping an eye out for fires, and usually during the summertime, and they're just looking to see if anything's happening in the mountains and the forest. Well, it's a perfect location because it's very, very isolated. Hardly anybody ever goes there, and he's going to be by himself, so there's no way he could be tempted, right? Well, no, that's not true because there ends up being a hiker that comes and just so happens to be exactly everything Luca is looking for and is now wreaking havoc with the fact that he knows he has to be celibate. If he does not remain celibate, the newspaper will run the risk of putting out false information. Like, they'll say, oh yeah, he wrote this whole article about him being celibate for the whole summer, and then somebody comes up with proof that he wasn't, then it would make them look bad. So he needs to make sure he sticks to what he has decided to do if he wants this article to run. And he wants his career as a journalist to take off. So he's determined. But of course, temptation is great. So we'll see what happens. And so far, it's just so sweet. This is a very sweet, fun, summery read. It's hilarious. It's like, there's just not high stakes, which is nice. I love really fun, giggly, sweet stories like this, where you can just have a great time and not necessarily... Actually, it's a really good vacation read, because one of those books that you don't have to worry too much about things getting too deep and dark. I don't imagine they will get too deep and dark, and you can just love the romance and fun and the playfulness of it, and there's definitely a lot of steam. So, well, actually, I don't know yet. I haven't got to any steam, but I'm imagining, based on the way this writer writes so far, there will be steam. Okay, Jordan, what do you think of Cups and Campfires?
Oh, I loved it. It was wonderful. Very good for what it was.
It was really cute, though. I enjoyed it. It was so fun. It was a very steamy read.
Very steamy.
I liked the body positivity, though.
Yes.
Like, just the appreciation for all bodies. Well, larger bodies.
Yeah.
And how much that was just celebrated in this book. I actually like that. Sometimes in plus-size romances, it's almost like you're spending the whole time trying to accept the larger body, whereas in this one, it's like, we're just celebrating big bodies.
Yeah, we're already accepted.
Yeah, and I did like that.
I did.
And it was a fun little adventure, sweet romance, nothing too wild and crazy, but very cute.
Very cute.
Very campy.
Very fast read.
Ish. And a very fast read.
Yes.
Yeah. So, yeah. What would you rate it?
4 out of 5.
Yeah, I'd say 4 stars too. I think it felt like a 4-star. So, day 2, and we have done lots of this. Personal choice. And this, lounging. And eating.
Yin yoga.
And we did some nature yoga. Yin yoga. And, oh, breakfast. Lunch. We already did our s'mores. And I went on a date, a bookish date. So, I mean, it's been a success. We've been relaxing a lot today. It's been absolutely wonderful. And I'm just about to start Camp by LC Rosen. Mom read it, and this was a reread for her, but she said it was just as much fun the second time around. And I'm very excited to get into this one. It's definitely going to be witty and quirky the same way Cubs and Campfires was, but I think there's going to be a lot less sex. So we played a game of beer pong earlier, and Jordan got the short end of the stick. And so I had her freeze her bra. Now she has to put it on. All right, we're home, and it was a wonderful, wonderful trip. We ended up having to wake up super, super early on Monday morning, 5 a.m. and head on out because we had to catch the ferry at 9. So it takes about 2 hours from where we were to get to the ferry terminal. We wanted to make sure we had plenty of time. So we did that. We got all the way home, and it was just such a lovely, relaxing, wonderful trip. It was calming. It was rejuvenating. Feel really good afterwards. A little bummed that it ended when it did, just because I could have used at least one more day, but I'm okay. I'm okay with the 2 days. It was perfect. And I'm still working on my summer camp books. And I want to continue these books for now. The Honeys by Ryan Sala, I'm currently, I think, like 68% of the way through that one. Let me double check. Oh, no, 58%. So 58% of the way through The Honeys. And really getting into it. You know, honestly, there were times when I was listening to this, especially because we were listening to an audiobook while we were driving. That first night, I was exhausted. So there were definitely parts of it where I don't want to say I zoned out, but I was not as focused or in tune with it. One of the other times that we started listening to it was while we were doing the friendship bracelets. And when I do tasks and I listen to audiobooks, if I get focused on the task I'm doing, I sometimes lose track of the audiobook. And if the audiobook is not like absolutely the most superb audiobook and the story hasn't got me wrapped up in its little arms, then I do struggle to keep track of it if it's an audiobook, not so much a physical book. And then driving to the ferry yesterday morning was a really good time because I was awake. Like I was wide awake, you know, even though it was early in the morning, I was wide awake, I was ready to listen to it, and I was just in it. So I'm very excited to continue on with this book. It's very surprising. It's definitely not what I would have expected. I don't know what's going to come of it, and I don't know who to trust in this story, which I love. I love that. And I like the characters. I'm interested in the characters. I'm very, very interested in the characters. I'm a little nervous. I don't want some of them to disappoint me, but I have a feeling they will because, you know, that's kind of the way things work, right? We're getting more and more into what is going on with these honeys, these girls who seem to have like this strange hive mind in a sense. We're starting to get to see some of the sides of them where you're like, where exactly is this coming from? And are they the bad people? Are they the ones doing bad things? I feel like they are. You're led to believe that they are, but maybe they aren't. Who knows? And then With Camp by LC Rosen, I am currently 48 pages in, and I'm liking this so far. It definitely is giving me the summer camp vibes that even though I loved Cubs and Campfires, it was so much fun. That wasn't actually technically summer camp, so this is actually giving the summer camp vibes. And my only complaint so far, having read this, is that our main character is 16. Randy's 16. And all the characters in this, 14, 15, 16, 16, 17, 18, I think they go from like 14 or maybe even younger, I'm not sure, up to 18. And the amount of sex everybody is either having or like talking about how much they have had, the amount of casual sex, it's not even just like, it was my first time, like, which, you know, you expect in high school. But like these kids are like, oh yeah, he's a total player. He has sex with somebody new every 2 weeks. And there's like this dating profile site called Boy something. And you're like, dating for teenagers? Like, is there stuff like that? Like, cause then you just think of like all the predators that could be taking advantage of these kids. And then I'm also thinking of like, how much sex are these teenagers, 16-year-olds having where it's like casual sex? I've hooked up 3 times with this person over the last 2 weeks. Like that just it doesn't seem very realistic. It just doesn't seem very realistic. So I'm just kind of like, wow, I don't know. I don't know how I feel about that level of casualness when it comes to, not that I'm a prude or anything, but just these are kids. Like in my mind, they're kids. I just don't remember anybody being this blasé about sex and like, it's second nature to me. You know, it's something I do all the time. I don't know. It's weird. It's kind of weird. I'm like, you could have made these characters like 17, 18, 19, 20, like 17 at the youngest. Our main character, Randy's 16. He has this crush on Hudson. Hudson's this playboy who everybody has a crush on, and he has like a new boyfriend every other week. Well, this camp only goes for 4 weeks every summer. And they're talking about all the guys he's slept with. And I'm like, well, if he's only got one new boyfriend every 2 weeks, then they must be talking about the prior summer and the prior summer and the prior summer. And then he would have been like 15, 14, 13, 12. How many guys is this boy sleeping with? Where are the chaperones? I don't know what's going on. Anyways, aside from that, it's fun. And we're getting to see this story, this age-old story of someone trying to change who they are for someone else, which is a horrible thing, but teenagers do it all the time, so it's not that surprising. Our main character, Randy, this year is going by Dell because his name is Randall. And he's like a really important person within the theater group at the camp, and he always participates and sings and is a big part of that. But he has a huge crush on Hudson, and Hudson is a masculine presenting boy. Randy is feminine presenting, and Hudson only dates masculine presenting boys. And so Randy thinks, well, if I'm gonna get Hudson to fall in love with me, I have to present as masculine, which is completely out of the norm for Randy. That's not his personality at all. But he spends the whole school year up until this next summer camp, which is where this starts out, changing who he is so that he presents masculine and so that he actually like acts more masculine. So he stops doing activities that are what he would normally do and teaching himself how to do the more masculine activities because he wants to be a completely different person so that Hudson sees him and is like, whoo, I want that. And he also has the goal not just of sleeping with Hudson, but of making Hudson fall in love with him. That's his goal. So, you know, changing yourself for somebody else is always a great idea. And so I can just imagine where this is going to go. So we'll see. Aside from the part that I've complained about ad nauseum, I am still enjoying the summer camp vibes of this and the excitement these kids have, being able to be free, to mostly, except for Dell because he's changing who he is, to be who they are within this summer camp that is specific to LGBTQIA plus kids, which is wonderful. And it's wonderful that there's a camp like this available. Just need more chaperones and more responsible adults. I'm talking like a teacher. So I do plan on working on this week and hopefully getting it done before Squash That Series 4-day weekend. So that's my goal, to get this done. So I'm gonna focus on these, but I'm just not gonna be daily vlogging about it anymore because we're not at summer camp anymore. However, one thing I do wanna do is fill out more of the summer book bingo challenge because I've completed all the activities. I've done it. I've completed all the activities, and I'm gonna count a book that I read for Sunset. Summer camp, the book, camp is gonna count for that, or the Honeys. Whichever one I finish first, the Honeys or camp, will work for the summer camp book. I'm not counting Cubs and Campfires, because even though it has camping in the summer, it's not technically a summer camp book, which is okay, but because I am reading summer camp books, I figured I might as well just wait until I finish those summer camp books to fill in this particular prompt. But let me flip this around and I will show you what I actually am able to fill out right now and how many bingos it's gonna lead to. Okay, so first let's talk about the book because I only have one that I can fill in for the book, but I'm actually going to use Cubs and Campfires for Sunset because in that book, they do witness sunsets and of course sunrises and stuff, but it really is all about enjoying nature and just being in it and taking the time and slowing down. And I think that when you observe a sunset, you're doing that. You're just reveling in the beauty. So I think that works really well for Sunset. Plus, I'm pretty darn sure that there was a sunset, or at least he talked about a sunset in the book, because there were moments in the morning, noon, and night where he was just talking about the views and everything that he was seeing and how the sky looked and how the trees looked and, you know, all that stuff. So I think this works really well for Sunset. So I'm gonna go with Cubs and Campfires, which means that I get a bingo. Woohoo! I get a bingo right here. I don't get a bingo that way, but I get a bingo this way for finishing my books in this row. And I still have the beach prompt, the shell prompt, the summer camp prompt, but like I said, I'm working on that, and the road trip prompt, which I already know I'm gonna be reading for that. I still have until the 21st, so I mean, there's still time. So now let's talk about the activities. Now, clearly, we absolutely fulfilled the summer camp portion of this summer camp activity by doing a real summer camp, and it was all we had ever hoped for. Then I'm actually gonna count Sunset because Jordan and I spent the whole we spent the whole sunset time on the ferry to Vancouver Island watching the sunset, and you saw a lot of video footage of that. We just stood there and watched it and enjoyed it. It was so beautiful, and we had nothing in front of us except the mountains and the water, and it was stunning. And so that was absolutely wonderful. I loved it, and I feel like it worked really well because I shared that moment with Jordan, so it really definitely counts. And then finally, as you saw, I did my shell challenge. I got my mermaid hair with my little shell thing in my hair, and I still have it. I haven't decided when I want to take it out. I might wear it to sub tomorrow. I might, why not? You know, kids will think it's interesting. So that definitely counts as well. So let's see where we are. Okay, for summer camp, I have one bingo there, one bingo there, and one bingo there. So that's 3 bingos from just getting summer camp. Oh, and Sunset, because that was a bingo there too. So let's see, 1 bingo, 2 bingos, 3 bingos, and then since I filled in Sunset, I've got 4 bingos. And then 5 bingos because of filling out shell. So that's 5. And then I also get a bingo for doing a blackout. And because all the greens are filled out, I've got a blackout. So that's 6, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Plus this one for the books, 7. So I get 7 rewards. That just seems obscene. Okay, so you might have noticed that it actually should have been 8 bingos because I didn't count the vertical bingo down from shells. And I figured this out later on when I do more of the bingo board. Not necessarily that particular one, but I figure out that I'm missing one bingo somewhere. And so I will remedy this eventually. So it should have been 8, which is a ridiculous number. 7 is enough for this video. But yeah, it was supposed to be 8 bingos and I messed up a little bit. All right, so all my rewards are in here and I get to pull out 7. Hopefully I don't get desensitized and be like, oh, what's another reward? Ugh. I'm just excited to see what else is gonna come up because there are quite a few in here that we haven't seen. Like Mom and Jordan have been pulling rewards as well. And I've been pulling rewards and we've been doubling up on some of them, but there's definitely a lot in here that we haven't pulled. So let's see what we're gonna get with my first reward out of 7. A new summer outfit. Ooh, okay, that's cool. Huh, a new summer outfit. I could still do that too. I wonder what I would choose. Or should I just wait and save that for next summer? Oh, that kind of doesn't, you know, like, I don't know. I got to think about that one. Remember, I said that the rewards don't necessarily have to happen this summer. We could carry them over. So this could be something fun to find next spring when I'm getting ready for next summer. And I am going to Spain next summer. So, might be fun to save this for next summer and get a new outfit that I'll take with me on my trip. I'll have to think about that one. Okay, let's find out what my second reward is out of 7. This is just silly. Oh, come on. New restaurant. Oh, I like that one. That's fun. That can happen at any time because we always like trying new restaurants. So the important thing about this is not necessarily going to a restaurant that I know I like. It's going to a restaurant I've never tried before because there's definitely restaurants here, especially newer restaurants, that we just haven't tried because we're like, oh, what should we do now? We should go to these restaurants that we love. And we just stick going to some of the same restaurants because, you know what you like. And I like trying new things. So that's going to be a great one. Reward number 3 out of 7 will be, there's 2 here. This one. What is it gonna be? Oh, another one that doesn't have to happen in the summer, train ride. This will be a fun one to save up for. I don't know exactly what kind of train ride I want to do. And there are some really neat train rides. It would be cool to do one of the ones that's like local, maybe even up in Canada, that's not necessarily a huge train ride, but different places have little trains, like old-fashioned trains where they kind of take you around. Oh, that would be really cool. I've got to do some research on this one, but I think that sounds like a really fun one. I'm getting some pretty good activities here. Okay, prompt number 4 out of 7 will be this one. Come on, where is the end? Pottery painting. Oh, good. Oh, I'm really excited about that because Mom and Jordan got to try that pottery place in Anacortes and I never got to go because that's what they did, not for pottery, but they did it for Jordan's flowers, for her flower prompt. And I wanted to go there. I missed out because I was in California. So I will get a chance to do some pottery painting. That'll be a lot of fun. All right. Okay, 5 out of 7. It's time for 5 out of 7. No, I'm not getting tired of getting rewards. I'm not getting tired at all of it. I don't know why I ever thought that would be a thing. Okay. Game night! Yes! We kind of did sort of a game night on our camping trip. We planned on doing more game night stuff, but then we forgot to bring all our games. So they had some games there, but we didn't do as much as we had planned on doing. We did play beer pong though, so that counts. But this is going to be a game night, which is fun because I might invite my neighbors over. We haven't played games in a while. That would be a great time. Next, we've got 6 out of 7. 6 out of 7. And I'll take this one. It's going to be, the end is there, right? Yeah, it is. It just doesn't want to open. Okay, here we go. Oh, I'm getting a lot of like going and doing things at places. a new museum. This is fantastic. A museum I haven't ever been to before. So there's definitely, are there any in Bellingham I haven't been to before? Probably, there might be. I'm not sure, but there are definitely museums up in Vancouver I've never been to, probably some in Seattle I've never been to. So there's a lot of options for a new museum. Oh no, it's time for my final reward. I'm getting greedy. Okay, let's see. Then it better be a good one. I mean, no, these are all good ones. Let's see. 7 out of 7 is gonna be this one. Is that just 1 or is that 2? It's 1. Okay. 7 out of 7 is going to be, come on, come on, come on. A craft day. Okay, good, good. I love it. Okay. I have a lot of ideas of things we can do for this. I still have never tested out my new laminator for teaching, but my mom got me a laminator for Christmas last year. I'd like to test that out. I mean, I know that's not crafts necessarily, but it's still fun things to do. Oh, I know. We wanted to do some fun crafts for Halloween/fall time. We were thinking about doing these pumpkin, like little fairy houses, like not real pumpkins, but like they have those plastic pumpkins you can get like at Joann's, and we were thinking about making little pumpkin fairy houses. So that's a possibility for craft day. So I've got a whole bunch of great things. Craft day, new museum, game night, pottery painting, train ride, new restaurant, and a new summer outfit. Okay, so I've just finished Camp by LC Rosen and had to put this down for a little bit in order to finish some other reads. But when I picked it back up again, it was very easy to get through. And this was a very fun read. And it was a very positive read in a lot of ways. Definitely some problematic aspects to it. I mean, there was a great conversation around toxic masculinity, but our main character, Randy, changes so much of himself throughout this book to try and please another boy. And I feel like there was definitely backlash for this, but there wasn't enough of a conversation for me, in my opinion, when you're looking at that serious of a subject, especially when it comes to love and trying to be who you are. And we definitely did have that conversation, but I felt like it could have been more in depth. I understand that there are restrictions here, especially because these are teenagers and they're facing a lot of things in their lives that they don't have as much control over as an adult would. I think our main character did end up ultimately getting rewarded quite a bit for changing who they were for somebody else. And I would have liked to have seen more of a little more of that message being fleshed out. Like that you don't need to change yourself for the other person. And granted, that does come through in the end, but it's just a really big conversation, and it can be a really heavy thing for a lot of people that tend to put others above themselves. You know, when it comes to relationships, a lot of people really hold on to the fact that they want something that maybe not necessarily the best thing for them. They're willing to put somebody else's desire for them above their own well-being and own needs. And I just think that that's a really toxic message for young people especially. So as much as I understand the intention of this story, I do think that that is one conversation that, considering this is a pretty decent sized book, that one we should have fleshed out a little bit more and should have been more of a heavy repercussion for that level of trying to change yourself to get somebody else to love you. Like that's just not a healthy way to be. I think I said before that I was struggling a little bit with this level of sexual content that was in this. And see, that's difficult because I also really do believe in books that should be sex positive, especially for kids who don't have access to media that is accurate and realistic as far as what they can expect when going into sexual relationships, because inevitably teenagers are going to have sex. Like, I am not saying that teenagers should never have sex. I'm not saying that I'm completely naive to the fact that they are having sex. It was just the level of casualness that I feel like this book handled it was a little too mature for the age of these kids. There's a lot that goes with the vulnerability, the intimacy, and the emotional impact sex has on people in general. Even adults struggle with all of that. And to see these kids looking at it so casually and nobody really like, this is a big deal, and this is a big deal for you developmentally, emotionally, mentally. All these things are really big deals, and I feel like the counselors are pretty negligent. I feel like the fact that we're talking more about like how many notches you got on the bedpost when they're 16 and how many they have gotten up to that point. I just think that sex is an important topic, and I think it's important for young people to learn about, read about, understand, think about how to be sexually safe, but at the same time not have such a casual familiarity with it at like a childhood age, like they're children. And I'm like thinking about the kids that I had in 5th grade, and they're 11. So then this would be the next year that all of a sudden they're starting to get so sexually active that they're more sexually active than a lot of adults. Like, I don't know, it just felt a little unrealistic. There are a lot of considerations we have to take into account when it comes to young people having sex this promiscuously. And what's the message we're trying to send? You know, how should we be valuing sex? How should we be valuing our body, our mental health, all the things that come along with sex? Because sex is a lot more than just an act. It's a lot more emotional for a lot of people, not for everybody, but a lot more emotional for a lot of people, especially young minds. That being said, overall, I did really enjoy this, and I had a hard time putting it down once I really got into it. And it was sweet, and it was cute, and it gave me those camp vibes that I was looking for. It reminded me of the excitement and fun that you have when you can be free to be who you are and go to camp, and you don't have to worry about anything outside of that. So like, I really did like a lot of aspects of this, and it was very readable. It was very, very readable. And even though sometimes the characterizations were a little stereotypical here and there, I still enjoyed having so many different characters and being able to just experience this part of their life, you know, the part of your life where you're trying to figure things out in your teenage years. And I do see the value in books like this especially. And so I'm gonna give it 4 stars because I did really enjoy it. It was just those few things. There were a few things that I felt could have been handled a little differently, and I would have been a lot more like, okay, this is amazing, sort of thing. So since I finished that, I can cross off summer camp here. I'm also gonna cross off beach because I read, what did I read? I finished a series. What series did I finish? Oh, no, I didn't finish a series. I continued reading a book from the Kieran Fife series, and the book I read was The Bookshop on the Shore. The Bookshop on the Shore. And this one definitely didn't spend a lot of time at the beach because it's the beach of the Loch Ness, but there were scenes, like pivotal scenes that happened at the beach. And so I really would count this to work for the beach book prompt, even though it wasn't necessarily set at the beach the whole time, but there were definite beach scenes, and I'm gonna count it. Okay, so let me go first with my summer camp book because that was Camp, which it definitely had a summer camp setting. And that gives me two bingos. I don't get this one yet because I haven't read my road trip book, so it gives me 2 bingos. And then we'll go with my beach book, which I'm counting as The Bookshop on the Shore. And you know, the word shore I tend to associate with beach, so that actually works just for the title, I think, as well. On the shore. And that only gives me 1 bingo right here, because I still haven't got shells or road trip, but I'm getting close. I got 3 bingos. This is just ridiculous. I love it. My plan was to get all the bingos this summer, and I'm getting close. I do have a book for this one, and I do know what book I want to read for this one. So let's see if I get them done before the 21st. Okay, time for 3 more rewards. I already have 12, and I've only completed 2. Really? That's just rude. Okay, well, 3 more rewards. Okay, so let's see what I'm gonna get. And hopefully I would like a book because I do want to go pick up a new book that just came out for my September new release for her kid. I would love to do that. Give me a book, y'all. Give me a book. I got 3 rewards. Let's see what they're gonna be. First, this one. Watch will probably give me, well, probably won't even give me a book. Okay. Come on. Come on, fingers, do your thing. New Ooh, a new roadie. Only reason I'm thinking about saving this one is because unless there are rhododendrons that are blooming, I think it's too late in the season for them to be blooming. But I like to see when they're blooming because I like to have roadies in our yard that bloom at different times. So part of me thinks I can just save this till next spring and see what's blooming at what time. I need some early blooming roadies. I have one. Up here in Washington, rhododendrons grow amazingly. And so around most of the houses, when you drive around, you'll see roadies. It's a thing. We all love our roadies up here. Okay, next one. I like that one. That's a good one. Okay, let's see what the second one is gonna be. It's gonna be this one. And we're gonna get with this. What are we gonna get? Something. Come on. I have a hard time using my hands these days. Oh, a ferry ride. We already did this, but it would be nice to go. Oh no, we were thinking about doing a ferry ride in Seattle, like going to Bainbridge Island or one of the other islands up there. We've gone to San Juan Islands quite a bit. We've gone over to Lummi Island plenty of times, and we recently went on a ferry ride to Vancouver Island, but there are a lot of ferry rides here in Washington that we haven't gone on yet, so that will be a fun one. And the final one is going to be this one. And it is going to be what? Another one that I can't open with my fingers. There we go. Another one of these. I mean, I love cross stitch, and I have cross stitch I'm working on. So I'm very excited about this. I have a Christmas cross stitch I'm working on. So this will force me to work on it. But never make the time. Well, that's actually perfect that it came up because I never make the time for it. But Jordan did get a cross stitch night, so we've already done one. And especially now that the rain is starting to come about, we're starting to get cooler days. It'll be nice to sit in the evening and maybe do some cross stitch while we drink some tea or something like that. Those are my 3 rewards. I have 15 now. I think there were a total of 22 possible that I could get with this. Let's see. That would be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, and then 6 for the blackout. That's 21. That's 21. Shouldn't there have been 22?
1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Did I do something wrong? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 10, 11, 22. It should be 22. Should be 22. Because it's 11 for each color. Right? 4 and 4 is 8, 9, 10, 11 for blackout. So times 2, that's 22. I missed one somewhere. So look at greens first. 1, 2, 3, 4. 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. Okay, 11 for greens. So let's just say that's down here. 11 for green. Then for pinks. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I missed one somewhere.
So I should actually have 16. I have 16 bingos at this point because I only had 4, but I should have 5. So I'm gonna pull another one. Come on, free book, not free book. A new book. Because free book means like from a little free library. A new book. Come on, new book, come on, new book, come on, new book. You can do this. You can do this, you can do this. This one. Is this the new book? Is it new book? No. Oh, okay. This is a very specific Italian restaurant in Seattle that we loved. We went there once with my friend Shamania and absolutely loved it. It was so good. And we kept saying, we want to go back. We want to go back. So we're going to go to the Italian restaurant in Seattle. Maybe we'll take Jordan this time. Maybe we'll take, it's a small place, so we can't take too many people. Okay. Well, I'm not upset about that one, but I would have liked a new book, but that's okay. I really loved this Italian restaurant. So now I have 14 unfinished rewards. And I definitely don't want to hold these all until next year. So I'll try and do some of them as we get a chance. Oh, and you know what? Mom and I went to a new restaurant today. We did. Oh, I'm going to count that because we went to the gym this morning and then I was like, hey, let's go to Elle's Diner, which is this diner in Ferndale, which I've never been to before. And I was like, we should try it out at some point. And today we did try it out. It was okay. It wasn't anything spectacular. It wasn't anything to write home about. So at least I get to cross off another one of my rewards, new restaurant. And so now I have 13 rewards that I need to fulfill. Okay, so I realized I never actually reviewed The Honeys, and as you see, it's October, Halloween stuff up. But I'm going to review it now, The Honeys by Ryan Sala, and I really did enjoy this a lot. I liked it a lot, actually. I gave it 4.25 stars in the end. I was really riveted, especially towards the end of this. Not that I was not enjoying it at the beginning. I thought that the audiobook narrator was fantastic, paced the narration very, very well, and I think my issue with the first part of the book was that we were listening to it on this trip where driving there I was tired, so my focus was not always on the audiobook. And when we were listening to it while we were doing friendship bracelets, it was fun, it was great, but my mind would zone. When I was able to really start focusing on the audiobook, when I was really able to start focusing on this story, I really just started digging it. It was very interesting, very unique. The horror of this, there was a lot of body horror. There was also just a lot of interesting, quirky ideas. I really liked the conversation around gender, especially since our main character is non-binary, and how that affected this story in particular, and the outcome of the story, because it does have an effect on the outcome of the story. And I suspected what the end result of this story was going to be. I just don't know that I ever suspected why or what the motive was. And I think that even if I suspected something of what the outcome was going to be, I still ended up really enjoying the ride that we got to go on. It did have a lot of tension. Like, even though I didn't think there were any moments that were truly scary or horrifying in this one, although there was body horror and there were some things that were pretty creepy, it was more about the tension building. It was how Ryan Sala was able to get your heart racing because of how things were paced. And I don't know if that's just because of the narration, the audiobook narration. It was done really well, so those moments felt very nerve-wracking, or if that's the way the writing actually was. So it'd be interesting to go back and read this in the future physically and see if those moments that felt like they built up a whole bunch of tension were actually that way in the physical book as well, because I do like when books are able to do that. This is definitely YA, but as an adult, I think that this is creepy enough and strange enough that you can enjoy it even if you're not as much into reading YA books. And it does have LGBTQIA plus representation in this, both in looking at gender and a character that's non-binary. And I just realized there is a character, a main character in here that I would say is questioning. And I think that's perfect because for Herkyed, I wasn't sure what book I was going to choose for questioning, but I feel like this book represented that very well. And that was a important part of this story, at least for our main characters. So I think I'm going to count that, and that's pretty cool. I would definitely read more from Ryan Sala because I think that Ryan Sala has a very unique perspective, and that brain is fascinating, and the ideas that he came up with were very clever. I'm gonna try more from this author, and I really enjoyed it. So I highly recommend, if you're looking for something creepy, unique kind of horror, then definitely pick up The Honeys. It's a very interesting read. Let me know in the comment section down below if you've read any of the books that I talk about in this particular video, and if you like this video, give it a big thumbs up and subscribe so you can see what happens in my next video. I'm going to be doing a Squash That Series vlog soon, and maybe other stuff. I have been slowing down a little bit with the content creation, but I'm hoping to be able to get caught back up again and give you something new and fresh and exciting. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you later.